Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM21 Build a Nation story from Bangor City with me, Daniel. We're back today for the final day of the 15th season. We face TNS, just one game away from our first ever perfect season, and probably our last based on the changes to Welsh football coming up this summer. We also then face the same opponent in a Welsh Cup final as we look to complete the treble. But that is just a minor amount of the detail today. We're going to be seeing in action some of our brilliant youngsters from the youth intake in yesterday's episode. We're also going to be looking ahead to the summer that's going to change Welsh football. We've got an extra side in European football next year, an extra two sides that are one game away from reaching the group stages. And with TNS's newfound coefficient, they should have a big advantage in next year's qualifying. So if you're looking forward to all of that, as well as a look ahead to the summer transfer window and a review of another brilliant season at Bangor City, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for videos every weekday from this series at 3:30, as well as some other specials at the weekend too. And there's links in the eye above to the podcast channel, our live streams over on Twitch, where we've got regular content there and football watch-alongs, and a new food channel as well. So please do go and check them all out. Your support is greatly appreciated as always. But today, it's an opportunity to create history with Bangor City. We know that Wales is going to have a big step up next year, but at the moment it's all about us. So let's go and get through the schedule so we can see the games we've played off camera. A few debutants, of course, from the younger ones as well. So let's have a look at them in all their glory. You were with me last time out as we lost to Newcastle 1-0 twice in a row in both the home and away leg at the usual stage, the last 16 of the Europa League. Since then, we've had 5 results. And actually, bar the first one, we've become a very efficient but low-scoring side. So I think you can see that some of the other teams are going to slowly catch us when they haven't got Europe to worry about. TNS have been held back a little this year because they got to the last 16 of the Europa Conference. I'll happily take that for the next couple of years, though. The first result we had was a 5-0 win against Swansea Uni. 2 for Gordon, who missed a penalty, had a chance to get his hat-trick. 2 for Reyes and 1 for Kane Waters. 3 goals in 3 minutes at the start of the second half, bizarrely. Against Cardiff Met Uni, a 2-0 victory. Kane Waters and Tom Jones on the road. They before back-to-back 1-0 wins. Firstly, against Barry in the Welsh Cup semi-final. That was Lloyd Golding who got the goal there. And then the same against Barla in the league. You can see Jennings, Whelan, Davis all getting on off the bench. Lloyd Golding with the winning goal from the penalty spot. A 3-1 win followed last time in the league against Barrytown United. I'm not sure they're going to make it, you know. It was Kyo Bulkley, Kane Waters and Lloyd Golding with our goals. And that means with one game to go, Barrytown United, albeit only 3 points behind and with a better goal difference than Swansea Uni, have to beat Cardiff Met Uni away from home tonight and hope that Barla beat Swansea Uni as well. If Barla get into the Europa League qualifying and finish in 3rd, surely they can reach the group stages and then turn professional themselves. That's what we're hoping for. But of course, we don't know if that's going to happen yet. I mean, even Colwyn Bay, they're now a professional side. It would possibly help if they got into the qualifiers. We'll have to wait and see how the playoffs work out. But for now, we've had a brilliant season. We're absolutely flying. And there's youngsters that deserve a chance in the team. So let's go and get into the game against TNS and see what we can do as we try to make our perfect league record. So it would be fair to say I've weakened up the lineup a touch here, but I don't feel we've got a choice. We've got a brilliant opportunity to give some young players football, to get a couple back fit ahead of the cup final, and to really show what our youth academy's made of. We've got on the bench Bellis with a chance to make his debut for the club. He was the secondary start that came through in this year's youth intake. Leo Blake, who made a few appearances earlier this year, he's going to get another chance off the bench too. And then into the starting lineup, Gethin Davis, who we signed at the age of 18 last summer. He's going to be big for us in the future. And then at centre-half, Jennings and Mubarak Whelan, 2 stars of the last 2 youth intakes. The likes of Gwyn Morgan in as well, that's going to make a big difference. Stefan Matai back from injury. But still that litter in a class. The usual front two are up there. Tom Jones behind Kyo Bulkley and Harvey Lloyd. So overall, it's a very strong 11. I know a few of you have asked about Roberto Simancas as well, because he's only listed as 2.5-star ability. So part of the reason for that is because he is naturally a goalkeeper, and we're playing him in a sweeper keeper duty that doesn't suit him perfectly, but he's still very excellent. The difference is that's affected the star rating of most of our team, that Kyo Bulkley in his best position has just become so good. I know we're playing him in centre mid, but as a number 10, he's just ridiculous, and as a result of that, everyone else's star rating is dropping unfairly. So Kyo Bulkley's at fault for all of those star ability changes. Probably most of the rest, not as bad as they look. But let's go and get into the first of a double header against TNS. This one the warm-up, this one less important in the grand scheme of things. But a perfect season would be really nice before we both progress next year. Bellis can have a higher squad number because he wants a number ending in a 6. So he'll be number 46 for the last game of the year. Let's go and head into it and see if we can finish a perfect league domestic season. And here we go. We know some of these TNS players very well now. The ones they signed last summer, Gart and Guan, have made a big difference. Even Lopez in January. The likes of Venados, Jonathan Norman, Seamus McGowan even becoming superstars over the last year or so. And then some of our former loan youngsters, or some of our former youth players, sorry, in the likes of Kean Burgess. So let's go and get into the first half. TNS, generally when they've not been in Europe as well, they've given us a stern opposition this year. So I'll be interested to see how that pans out. And we'll keep our fingers crossed for Barrytown United too. As in the 12th minute, we're back for a free kick. Very dangerous position. And look at that. 2 of the under-19s deliver. Kevin Davis with a cross from the right. It's a brilliant ball in with his left foot. And Mubarak Whelan, first start for the club after a few sub-appearances. And he scores the first goal. 12th minute lead as a result of his goal. And he is going to be a centre-half starting at this club for years to come. We are going to have to think about things this summer as well. We'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow as Harvey Lloyd has scored a screamer. 25 yards out, thunders off the bottom of the crossbar, drops down onto the line and back up again. My favourite type of goal. What a performance this young side's putting in. But we will talk tomorrow a little bit more about our plans for next season. Because I know this year, as is proven by the perfect record, we've had the strongest squad we've ever had in this save. But it is holding back some of the young players a little bit. So I'm going to think about that this summer and how we want to proceed moving forward. Do we want to have sort of, say, Whelan as our 4th choice centre-half, say Bellis or Blake as our 4th choice centre midfielder, and accept that we're going to let one of the stronger backups go, just so we can develop the youth? Or are we going to try and loan them all out now the rest of the sides in the league are professional? It's going to be a tough one, but we'll make that decision in tomorrow's episode. Our usual 5-year bookmark coming up there. And then we should have one hell of a season next time out. As Bulkley picks the ball up 30 yards out again. Gives it to Gwyn Morgan right side of the box. Delivers in towards Geffen Davis. And his header's just over the bar. But we've made this look really comfortable. And now we just keep an eye on the other games. Both still 0-0 at the moment between the other sides in the top 6. And really, we need a goal for Barla and a goal on the other side of it for Barrytown United. Geffen Davis picks up an injury again. The only worry we've had about him. But it does mean we can give Christian Bellis a debut. He comes in centre midfield. Good covering in the holding role too. And in fact, we're going to do that sub at the same time. I know Harvey Lloyd has been brilliant. Or do we rest Kyo Bulkley? I think we might do that because he needs to be fit for the cup final. So Leo Blake will come on. Who's better with their left foot? Leo Blake right only. Bellis just right. So that's what we're going to stick with for now. We'll make the last sub in 5 minutes or so. Well, just under 20 minutes to go. I feel like I should probably give Pasiarek a chance because he's not really had a game this season. Again, Harvey Lloyd, one of the first teamers who's a bit tired. So Pasiarek on for him. Jennings will just step into the holding role for the last 20. And Pasiarek will go in at centre-half alongside Whelan, the wonder kid. Arguably the man who will displace him from the squad long term. As Dorian's head has flicked onto Samankas, we've got a chance to counter and get 3 now. Both fullbacks have spread. The centre-halves are short. Pasiarek's one of them. Picks it up and brings it out of the penalty area to Gwyn Morgan. Accredited with the assist for the second goal, but I think it would be fair to say that most of the work was done by the centre midfielder. As Jones gets the ball again, finds Morgan. Chance to go down the right, delivers an early ball in. What on earth has happened there? The goalkeeper, I don't know, anticipating the cross maybe, but it was a really weak ball in. And the keeper was coming for the cross, but just didn't get back. And as a result of all of that, it dribbles past the line and Gwyn Morgan's given the 3rd goal. Absolutely bizarre moment. As Hall delivers the ball in again, Samankas is there. And of course for Gwyn Morgan, this could be his last game for the club. We're bringing in a brilliant young right back in the summer. We'll take a look at him in a moment. And in terms of the rest of the season then, we have to think, do we want to keep Gwyn Morgan as a 3rd choice or as a backup left back maybe, as Goulding's in for a 4th? I mean, he's making his best case to stay here this year. Or can someone like a TNS come in and get Gwyn Morgan? Because that makes a massive difference to the ability of their team. And this is a builder nation after all. We have to try and help them. Swansea Uni have taken the lead against Barla, which means they are wrapped up in 3rd place. and Barrytown United and Cardiff Met Uni will now have to battle it out for a place in the Europa Conference qualifiers next year. We hope the Geffen Davis injury isn't bad. Aside from that, it's been a perfect day at the office. So let's see what the injury's like, and then we'll skip ahead to the Welsh Cup final. A chance to wrap up another treble. So Geffen Davis, only 10 to 13 days. He will miss the Welsh Cup final, but that's not a disaster really. We'll go and praise Gwyn Morgan because he created loads of good chances. And then unfortunately, we've got to look at the Welsh Premier League now with disappointment. Because TNS have wrapped up European Champions League qualifying. Swansea Uni and Bala have got 3rd and 4th. And then the 3 sides in an ideal world we would have liked there, Cardiff Met Uni, Barrytown United and Colwyn Bay, are the 3 sides that have missed out. And now only one of them is going to get qualifying action next year. Considering Barry and Cardiff have both built their coefficient over the last couple of years, that is annoying for us. But hopefully if that means Bala can turn pro, in the long term it helps us out. That's all to worry about at the start of next season though. For now, we'll be back for the Welsh Cup final in a minute. Fingers crossed, we complete a very good season. Time to polish off the season then with Bangor City. Kyo Bulkley fit. Kresimir Lowe's has had a knock, I'm not sure about him, and Geffen Davis not back in time. I did very quickly though want to show you the right back that was signed in the summer. I can't actually remember if I've showed you him yet. We've activated a release clause for 3.3 million for 17-year-old Dimitar Nenov. He looks a real talent. He'll qualify as an under-19 the first season, so a good player to have in the squad. But he's actually better than Gwyn Morgan already and not far off McDonald. So I'm thinking we're not going to be able to keep Kyle McDonald forever. If we can get this lad in for next season, give him a fair amount of football, also work on his positioning, get that up to 11 or 12, we could have one hell of a player on our hands. He's done a decent job for Partizan Belgrade, has got 10 under-21 international caps for Serbia, and his potential is really big. 5-star there, bigger than Kai McDonald. We've got to work on a few things. He needs to learn a language, he needs to get consistent. It's probably going to take him till the 2nd or 3rd season before we see his best. But while we've got Kai McDonald for a year, and if we've got Gwyn Morgan out on loan who can come back, for example, we might well have the opportunity to let him do that. So I'm excited about him joining, and I hope he's going to be a real asset to the club. And at this stage, to get players in for that cheap makes perfect sense. Another one too that will become homegrown at the club in terms of European football. Let's go and get into our final game of the season though. It's the Welsh Cup final against TNS. We beat them handsomely in the league just a moment ago. We'll go back to our first team today and hope on the big occasion we can deliver just as consistent a performance. So we've taken a little bit of a calculated gamble in terms of the squad. The starting 11, no frills whatsoever, exactly what you'd expect. Simancas between the sticks, the first choice back 4 of Weaver, Kelly, Whittaker and McDonald. The normal midfield 4 is in, so Reyes back in the middle for Geffen Davis who's injured. The rest of it stays the same, Lloyd, Bulkley and Jones. We're probably going to have to make a tough decision on Tom Jones in the next episode too. He's not strong enough to be a first 11 player. I mean, look at that. That's our average first 11. And the rating for him, I mean, he's the weakest by a long way. And he's in a position where people should be making an impact. So we're probably going to have to change him in the summer, have him as a backup, get Bulkley back where he belongs up there. And hopefully that'll make a difference to us next season. Up front is Gordon and Walters, is a very strong 11. However, on the bench, with only 5 subs, we've had to bring in McKinnon for Loza, who's got a knock. But I'm going to get Whelan on there. I want him to get an appearance in the cup final. And hopefully we'll be in a position to bring him on. Let's go and head into it. Try and complete the treble. And here we go. Not much change for TNS actually. They seem to have a fairly settled team. Stefan Banks is back on the bench. One of our former youth players. Kelechi Abubakar I really like. And Dale Clark's a good player. So they've actually got a decent little squad there. They've got to improve massively in the summer. They'll have loads of money from that Europa Conference run. They've got a better coefficient. They've got a better reputation. This has to be the summer that TNS go for it. They'll be in Champions League qualifying as well, which will surely help them when it comes to reputation, when it comes to trying to lure players in early in the window. They just need to do that work early. They've kept us quiet for 15 minutes here though. Let's go and get the formation on after this highlight so we can see what TNS are doing. Because they have been a bit more aggressive under Jordan Willis. They've scored goals against us, although they've not been dominant. But the goalkeeper, as much as he's an improvement on Ronan Lufra, has had a couple of shockers against us. The Gwyn Morgan goal in the last game was poor, and he's misjudged that one as well. Comes out to claim a cross, and Matty Whittaker in the end just heads into an empty net. So TNS again, as you can see, going for the wing backs. It does harm them a little against us, but they have got that attacking threat that they never had before, and we have to give them praise for trying it. Having said that, we reach half-time with a comfortable 1-0 lead. TNS yet to have a shot, and we've dominated the ball as well. I don't think we could be much happier. We've had 3/4 of the possession. We're keeping our physical stats up. We're keeping our players nice and healthy because they're not having to really break sweat. What we'd like, though, is a second goal just to get it wrapped up early doors, particularly as this second half wears on. There could then be a bit of tension as Jones goes wide to Weaver. Maybe he's heard us saying we want to drop him. Did so against Bordeaux, and then he came back with a vengeance as Reyes gets it short. Wide to McDonald on the right hand side, beats his man and gets into the box. By the byline, cuts it back, Goulding's there. And that should be game, set, match and trophy on the shelf. 51 minutes gone, 2-0 Bangor City, and an excellent display. We really have been professional towards the end of this year. But TNS will surely get a lot stronger this summer as Bulkley puts the ball into the back post, Whittaker up again. This time, no, just over the bar. 55 minutes gone, exemplary display from the lads. And with 25 remaining, again it's Tom Jones that's had the weakest game of that side. I'm going to put Ewan McKinnon on for Walters just because it might be a final appearance for him, having rejected a new loan deal. Mubarak Whelan will replace Jerome Kelly, who's not had the best end to the season. And then it's either Harvey Lloyd or Tom Jones. I think we're going to go for Lubomir Srom on for Tom Jones. Bulkley as the number 10. Let's see what impact it has. With 25 remaining, it should be pretty comfortable from here. Well, we reach stoppage time. The game's completely petered out. We get one of the new youngsters on to get a medal in the Welsh Cup final. A brilliant display in my eyes. A really professional job well done. And Harvey Lloyd gets to lift yet another trophy. He's really having a good spell as skipper here since George Wickens dropped out of the first 11. But TNS, they are getting closer. There's a few games this season where they scared us. And they've had a brilliant run in the Europa Conference. What they've got to do now is take advantage of that so they can have more moments like this. Because next year, conceivably, if they win 2 qualifiers, they can get into the Champions League. And although that's going to be a very tough ask, their coefficient will have improved now. And we cross our fingers that they get a lucky draw. A brilliant season for us, though. We'll finish off, as usual, with the end of season review. We'll be back in a moment to go through that, as Bangor City celebrate another treble. But Welsh football certainly on the map this year. And here we are. We've got to look at some of the positives here for Welsh football as well as ourselves. This is when this becomes a builder nation. Let's have a look at the players that came in this year. Joshua Pugh didn't play a game, but he's there if we need him, and he was a solid addition. Delighted to have him back at the club as third choice. We've also got Gethin Davis, the youngster from Swansea. Didn't get to make a huge amount of appearances, partly due to injury and the strength of other players, but did make an impact when he came in. I mean, 4 goals and 5 assists from 8 starts is pretty good going. Henry McWilliams, a brilliant free agent deal. We picked him up, knew he'd be a solid backup at centre-half and centre-mid, and he's sort of taken over the mantle from John Price there as the first choice backup. He's really done well for us though, and again, 6 assists and 2 goals from 17 starts. For a defensive-minded player, that's absolutely excellent. We had a few big outs as well, we know about them. Billy Fawkes and Ifan Lloyd moved on, both did really well in the lower leagues of the EFL. Warren Bell had a good season for TNS, but again, just a little bit too injury prone, which does harm him towards the end. And Jack Vale went to Atalanta, where he's a squad player, and no longer a Welsh international either. Let's get to the season's results though. A very strange Welsh Premier League below the top 2. And we'll wait to see if it's Barry, Cardiff Met Uni or Colwyn Bay that get into the Europa Conference qualifiers. The Champions League, we did really well to come third in a very, very tough group. A little reunion with Greg Pringle too. The average home attendance above 3,000, that's the second year in a row for that, I think. And then Newcastle United, the usual nemesis at the usual stage. The last 16 of the Europa League is where it all fell down. The SPFL Trust Trophy was the big disappointment this year, out in the first round on penalties. And in the Welsh Cup and League Cup, comfortable victories again. Albeit, a few of the games, particularly in the Welsh Cup, a little bit closer than they have been before. The moments to remember, let's see what they recommend as our best moments of the year. Goal of the season from Bulkley, another one of his special free kicks. The match to remember's perfect. It's the game that definitely got us through in the Champions League. The 3-1 win against Juventus, the stuff dreams are made of, and that wrapped up our Europa League place after Christmas there. A 7-0 win at Newtown, the biggest one of the season. Not as big as we've seen in years gone by, but we've become a little bit more efficient this year. The reputation's up to 3-star, that's going to make a big difference. And in terms of the revenue, I've mentioned before, The unallocated broadcast revenue and things like that come a bit later in the year. The prize money's down because we didn't get to the Champions League last 16, but in the end that did help our coefficient a little bit. The great thing from a broadcast revenue point of view is the Welsh domestic league this year was 160 grand, which is up about tenfold since the start of the save. The prize money for winning the Welsh Cup and for the League Cup total about 150 grand between the two. So we really are seeing steps up in that now. And as the league has gone up half a star reputation again, hopefully this summer we'll get a big deal. We've got to hope that's what changes soon. In terms of shirt sales, all the attacking stars and the two youngsters from the club. But let's go and have a look at the best 11 for the season. Tom Jones just hanging on in there. He's not going to be first choice next year. As much as I love him, as much as he's a youth intake star, we can't warrant it at this level. He'll certainly play loads of league games though. Kyo Bulkley, after the start to the season where he wanted to leave for Manchester United, almost a clean sweep at the end of season awards. And Mubarak Whelan, youngest ever goal scorer and another star through the Bangor City Youth Academy. So a brilliant season overall, a treble to finish off. And it does mark the 15-year bookmark in the series. So tomorrow's episode, rather than one of our regulars, will be a look back at our last 5 years here. That's where we'll look at all the things you guys have been asking for. Development of facilities across the nation. Some of our icons, legends and favourite personnel as well. And we'll look ahead to what should be the biggest year for Welsh football because we're going to have the extra team in Europe. We should now, with the way the qualifying format works, have 3 teams in the group stages of some competition in all honesty. So it could be a year that's make or break. We'd like to see Bala go professional, having qualified for Europe too. We'll cross our fingers for all of that. We'll look ahead to the new season. But if you did enjoy this episode, a perfect domestic season for us and a breakthrough year for TNS in Europe, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Of course, the show was stolen in the end by some youth intake stars, one of which scored in today's episode. And I can't wait to see how they develop in the next few years and how many of our backup players we can tempt to other sides in Welsh football. If you're looking forward to finding out on the new season, please do subscribe down below and turn that notification bell on. New episodes from this series every weekday at 3:30, as well as plenty of specials over at the weekend. As I mentioned earlier, there's links to the food channel, the podcast channel, and of course the Twitch streams up in the eye above. Please do come and check us out on all of those platforms. But a big thanks for watching and following along another season. It is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you next time for the 5-year bookmark, and then in 2 days for the transfer special.